Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And boy, am I glad that you joined us this morning. We have a lot to catch up on from over the weekend. We've got a couple of things to read here. Oh, look at all the waves coming in already. Look at that. All right, let's go to viewer comments. First up, viewer comments, by the way, brought to you by Steuben Senior Services Fund, empowering seniors to age at home. Good morning, Frank. Chris in Fargo, North Dakota. Well, thank you, Chris. If you didn't tune in last week, or if you missed, I can't remember what day it was, maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. Brian, our friend Brian, sent us a poster of a map, I should say, so we can start putting pins where we get all of our waves. When people go on vacation, when people are out of the area, they'll send in a wave anyway. Because, of course, when you're on vacation, the thing you think about the most is Frankly Speaking. And I do appreciate that. So we've got the cardboard. I just haven't set it up yet, the map. And we'll start putting pins in because 2 weeks ago, we got a wave from Egypt. A couple months ago, we got a wave from the Philippines. And we've got waves throughout the country as well, from Alaska, now North Dakota, Wyoming, Tennessee. So our map is really taking off, and we're going to have that hanging up. My goal is before the end of the week. I just have to do a little bit of a tape job on the cardboard to put it up on. So, comment from a different viewer. Morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I have only one comment to make, one that comprises the foundation of our country. The men who have fought and in many instances have died, not only in establishing our independence from Britain, but in the years following, have died in protecting our republic, freedoms, and our way of life. But today there are men and women who seek to go and plot against that said foundation. Communists like AOC and all of her Democrat comrades. I just cannot believe that a communist might conceivably become mayor of New York City. And we're going to talk about him a little bit later on. And other cities across America. Given the reported views held by impressionable, allegedly born American youth, or should I say that they are instead misguided by institutions such as Harvard. And yeah, it's not just Harvard. I would say it's many higher education areas of higher education, and as we've been learning, also at the high school and even elementary level. Those whom I speak of presently have either forgotten or have not been taught about the sacrifices that their forefathers have made, nor do they apparently even realize how good they have it. That's a very key point you make there. They do not realize how good they have it. Because it's an ego thing, it's a narcissism thing, where they believe because they are offended by, let's say, Trump, that means they are the most aggrieved. They're the most offended of any human ever because everything revolves around them. History began the moment they were born. So it's all me, me, me. But you raise a really good point. I hope that before these crazy-minded youths vote, that they remember what and how their freedoms were achieved and realized. Thank you very much from that viewer. A comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. I see the Democrats are having a fit over Trump redistricting the map in Texas to give him 5 more Republicans to keep the majority, and the Dems are threatening to do the same. Well, you are absolutely right, Mark. They are. Democrats have actually walked out in Texas. We're going to talk about that in just a moment because we have a lot about that and some of the other states that are threatening redistricting, like New York. Governor Hochul saying it's wrong, but if Texas does it, I'm going to do it anyway. But you said it was wrong. But we're going to talk about that in just a moment. On a sad note, kicking off this morning's broadcast, Lonnie Anderson, one of the stars of WKRP in Cincinnati, and ex-wife to Burt Reynolds, has passed away at the age of 79, just days before her 80th birthday. Anderson died in a Los Angeles hospital following a prolonged illness, said her publicist. We are heartbroken to announce the passing of our dear wife, mother, and grandmother, Anderson's family wrote in a statement. Now, of course, anybody who's ever worked in radio knows how eerily accurate WKRP in Cincinnati was. That aired from 1978 to 1982. She played a great part in that as a receptionist who often kept the station running in the face of everybody else's incompetence. She earned 2 Emmy Award nominations and 3 Golden Globe nominations. She starred on the big screen alongside Burt Reynolds in the 1983 comedy Stroker Ace and the two later married and became tabloid fixtures before their messy breakup in 1994. So again, Lonnie Anderson passing away at the age of 79. Okay, couple of quick things to get through here with no real way to segue, but this is sadly not surprising, but also very disappointing. A diehard soccer fan was kicked out of the St. Louis stadium because he had the audacity to wear a Make America Great Again hat. You know, the famous red cap that Trump really started wearing early on in his first campaign. A diehard Major League Soccer fan was kicked out of Missouri Stadium for wearing a Make America Great Again hat during a match, according to shocking footage from the game. His name, Michael Witzel, was sporting the signature red cap inspired by Trump's campaign slogan at a July 26th St. Louis City Soccer Club game at Energizer Park. When security approached him, yes, there's a fire truck in the background if you hear that. When security approached him and asked him to leave, with about 25 minutes remaining in the match. It unfolded after someone filed a complaint with stadium police mid-game. A complaint with the police because someone had the audacity to wear a pro-Trump hat. Quote, I don't think there'd be any issue with wearing that to the game, but with about 25 minutes left in the game, I was basically told they'd received a complaint about my hat. They told me I could either hide the hat or take it out to my car or leave. I'm not going to take my hat off for anybody. I live in America, which is the land of the free and the home of the brave, and I thought, so you do what you have to do. Now, the 32-acre St. Louis Stadium prohibits political banners, flags, images, and signs inside the arena unless pre-approved. Does a hat fall into that? Is there anybody else in that stadium that may have had some type of political messaging on their clothing? It's worth asking the question. In the video, he's seen wearing the MAGA hat and red shirt as 4 security guards approach and calmly explain that the club doesn't allow political symbols inside the stadium and asked him to leave. Quote, I'm being asked to leave by police. I'm being threatened with arrest. They're asking me to leave. People booing behind him. I'm being evicted from the premises because of Donald Trump, because we can't wear Donald Trump's hat in public. Now I'm being evicted from the premises. Trump is not welcome at St. Louis City Soccer Club. Trump is not welcome here. An officer leading Wetzel out of the building told him he was also a Trump supporter, but said he was simply enforcing the club's rules. He gets it. He's just following the rules. It's not his fault. This is the stadium's rules. So that's what happens if you wear a Donald Trump hat to the St. Louis City Soccer Club game. Many people in the audience booing him, let's just say giving hand gestures as well. He's now reluctant to return to Energizer Stadium, even after purchasing 3 years' worth of tickets to support the team. I do want to see them do well, he said. I don't really want to let the actions of a few small-minded people or a few angry complainers stop me from enjoying something that I love. So sadly, not a surprise, but also very sadly that is happening in America. Again, I would point to how many people, and maybe there was none, but is there anybody that had some type of political statement on them other than that MAGA hat? Worth mentioning. Speaking of the anger and the vitriol for Trump, this is always nerve-wracking, and sadly, this is a story it seems like we bring to you about once a week. Fighter jets scrambled to intercept a civilian aircraft on Sunday after it entered restricted airspace over Trump's Bedminster retreat. A lot of sound effects this morning. The pilot flew into a temporary flight restriction zone at about 12:50 p.m., according to a statement from the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, as you may know it. The civilian aircraft was escorted out of the area by NORAD aircraft after using flares to draw the pilot's attention. NORAD said the intercept was the second of the day, noting that another aircraft had entered the TFR zone. In total, there were 5 unauthorized incursions over the weekend. The second instance, NORAD said, involved flares, which may have been visible to the public. NORAD added that flares are employed with the highest regard for the safety of the intercepted aircraft and people on the ground. The flares also burn out quickly and completely. There's no danger of those on the ground when dispersed. Officials are warning private pilots to do their homework before takeoff. General aviation pilots are reminded to verify all Federal Aviation Agency notices to airmen and flight information before every flight. In the instance of Bedminster, New Jersey region specifically, and then it gives the codes that you would look up. NORAD has stressed previous instances how important it is for North American flight safety for pilots to avoid violating the TRF. All pilots must familiarize themselves with updates to restricted airspace, including reviewing new and existing FAA NOTAMs that impact the flight plan and activities. So this is happening quite frequently and, of course, causes some concern. Also, like I said, we're going through a lot of things here that there is no real good segue to. But the Corporate of Public Broadcasting, which funds NPR and PBS, will shut down after loss of their federal funding. The decision comes weeks after the rescission bill was approved that clawed back $9 billion, or made cuts, you could say, of $9 billion to public media and foreign aid. Those cuts include $1.1 billion set aside for the CPB over the next 2 years. So it was actually $1.1 billion that was clawed back from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Public media officials had hoped the lawmakers would vote to restore some of the money down the line, but the Senate Appropriations Committee on Thursday declined to do so. Quote, despite the extraordinary efforts of millions of Americans who called, wrote, and petitioned Congress to preserve federal funding for CPB, we now face the difficult reality of closing our operations, said Patricia Harrison, the president and CEO of CPB. The majority of the roughly 100 staffers will be let go by the end of September. A small transition team will remain on through January of 2026 to focus on compliance, fiscal distribution, and resolution of long-term financial obligations, including ensuring community or continuity for music rights and royalties that remain essential to the public media system. Now, if you're not familiar, Corporation for Public Broadcasting was first created by Congress in 1967 and has distributed more than $500 million each year to PBS, NPR, and more than 1,500 locally operated public radio and TV stations. NPR said it receives about 1% of its funds from federal sources annually, and about 3% indirectly from stations. PBS, which features programming like Sesame Street, reportedly receives 16% of its funding from federal government. Trump wrote back in July on Truth Social, House approves $9 billion cuts package, including atrocious NPR and public broadcasting, where billions of dollars a year were wasted. Republicans have tried to doing this for 40 years and failed, but no more. This is big. So there you are, Corporation for Public Broadcasting closing its doors after that federal aid cut. Now, oh, wow. We got a couple other quick updates. Then we're going to dive into some deeper stories. We're going to talk a little bit about Mohamadani. Why am I forgetting his name here? The socialist running for mayor. We've got a couple updates there. We also have quite a bit here about the, New York State in general, as Mark had mentioned, and we're going to talk about it here in a little bit, is the redistricting in Texas and how that is unfolding. I would also mention that a little bit later on in the program, we're going to be talking with Tim Colpine. He's with Elmira Impact Hockey, which is their season's about to begin. We're going to find out how you can help, how you can be a part of Elmira Impact Hockey. That will be in the 7 o'clock hour. But right now, we got to take our first break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Frankly Speaking, Roof Cam is brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs.
Your water is delicious.
I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system.
What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
Hi, this is Till, owner of Hesselsen's in Elmira Heights. At Hesselsen's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselsen's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is a start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselsen's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Elmira Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
Steuben County Office for the Aging will be hosting a public hearing on Thursday, September 18th at First Presbyterian Church in Bath. This hearing is to review the 2026 Annual Implementation Plan for the Older Americans Act and the Steuben County Office for the Aging. This public hearing will take place at 9 a.m. on Thursday, September 18th in the Fellowship Hall of the First Presbyterian Church in Bath. Copies of the plan will be available at the Office for the Aging. You're watching Big Fox, WYDC TV, Elmira Corning.
Haley Livingston.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. I know we haven't really talked about the controversy surrounding Sydney Sweeney, actress Sydney Sweeney, and that American Eagles jeans ad. Because the ad said Sydney Sweeney has great jeans or something, they were trying to compare it to the Nazis. It was one of these examples of woke culture run amok, to the point where many people were just laughing at the outrage. Well, I didn't think it would probably affect her career at all until I found out that someone had released the information that she is a registered Republican. And unfortunately, in Hollywood, that could be what actually does her in. But President Trump praised Sydney Sweeney over the weekend after learning she's a registered Republican, a political bombshell that dropped as a woke mob continues to torch the actress because of her American Eagle jeans ad. Trump reacted with glee after a reporter told him that the 27-year-old Euphoria star shares his right-leaning views, adding that he now finds her controversial new denim campaign fantastic. Oh, now I love her ad, he said to a bunch of reporters. You'd be surprised at how many people are Republican. That's one I wouldn't have known, but I'm glad you told me that. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic. Now, according to the kind of leaked documents, she's been registered with the Republican Party of Florida in Monroe County since June of 2024. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed actress, her conservative stripes were revealed Saturday as she faces relentless backlash ignited by left-wing critics comparing the clothing retailer's sultry ad to Nazi propaganda that promotes racism and eugenics. The tagline for the marketing campaign was, "Sydney Sweeney has great jeans." Obviously a very beautiful woman, so a play on that. But in one promotional clip, Sweeney explains that genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color, before declaring, "My genes are blue." In another clever ad, the actress approaches a billboard featuring her image and the phrase, "Sydney Sweeney has great jeans," which she then alters by crossing out jeans, G-E-N-E-S, and replacing it with jeans as in denim. The campaign sparked a social media frenzy over all of last week. We didn't mention it. Pretty much everybody was weighing in on it. J.D. Vance ripped Democrats for becoming unhinged over a pretty girl selling jeans to kids in America. My political advice to the Democrats is continue to tell everybody who thinks Sydney Sweeney is attractive that they're a Nazi. That appears to be their actual strategy. So you have a pretty girl doing a jeans ad and they can't help but freak out. It reveals a lot more about them than it does us. Yes, this is one of those scenarios where a small but very vocal group, far left, is trying to bring back that once powerful woke mob culture. Does not seem to be working. American Eagles seems to be standing strong in their support. So I just wanted to mention what Trump had to say about it over the weekend. If you want to weigh in on it, feel free to. Hey, by the way, Stephen Colbert has reportedly already secured a new gig following the cancellation of The Late Show. He is staying put in the world of late night after signing on as a guest star in the CBS series Elsbeth. Colbert will portray a late-night talk show host in the comedy series, which made its debut last summer. He will play the host of the fictional show Way Late with Scotty Bristol in the network's spin-off of the hit series The Good Wife. Production had commenced last week in New York City, and according to the outlet, the episode was almost surely planned before news that its format was axed by CBS came to light. There you go. If you were wondering what he'll be doing next, playing a talk show host on TV. Anyway, like I said, we're just going through a lot of things quickly. Oh, one of the bigger stories this morning. How am I doing on time? Fine. President Trump accused the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics of inflating job numbers to all-time highs prior to the U.S. presidential election, just days after announcing her firing, saying, head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics did the same thing just before the presidential election when she lifted the numbers for jobs to all-time highs. I then won the election anyway, and she readjusted the numbers downward, calling it a mistake of almost 1 million jobs. In the post, the president also alleged that the miscalculations of BLS Commissioner Erica McTarfer were the most significant in more than half a century. A scam, he said. She did it again with another massive correction and got fired. She had the biggest miscalculation in over 50 years. The post follows just days after Trump lashed out at the Bureau of Labor Statistics and said he would fire McTarfer after the U.S. economy added fewer jobs than expected in July, and large downward revisions were made in the prior 2 months, suggesting the economy and labor markets are weaker than previously believed. What's interesting about this is they're calling this the Ministry of Truth. They're calling it the end of democracy as we know it, because everything that Trump does, of course, has got to be the biggest scandal to the media. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But as I mentioned, just because it is Monday morning, we're going through some of the stories you may have missed or just haven't had an opportunity to talk about since Friday's broadcast. I was just informed that our country's job numbers are being produced by a Biden appointee, Dr. Erica McTarfer, the Commissioner of Labor Statistics, who faked the jobs numbers before the election to try and boost Kamala's chances of victory. Early Sunday, National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett backed Trump's decision to fire her, citing an alleged partisan pattern in U.S. job data reporting. The BLS report on Friday that 74,000 jobs were added in July, well below the 110,000 estimated. The report also revised job growth in May and June downward. May's gains were pared back by 125,000 to just 19,000 jobs created. Yes, so May originally thought to have created 125,000 jobs, knocked it all the way back to 19,000 jobs, just 19,000 jobs, while the June figures were revised down from 133,000 to just 14,000 jobs added that month. Definitely some questions there, but as I mentioned, the media is portraying this as really the end of democracy as we know it. But Trump's saying it's the biggest miscalculation in over 50 years, calling it a scam. So your thoughts on that. When we return, we're going to talk about what Mark had mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast. You guys are a little quiet this morning. Monday morning, it's maybe sleeping in a little bit. Keep those ways, keep those comments coming in. But your thoughts on anything that we've covered so far. And also, Texas Democrats leaving the state so there won't be a quorum so that they cannot vote on the redistricting. We're going to talk about that as well. If you are new to the broadcast, thank you for joining us. You see that number on the bottom of your screen. You can reach out at any time to comment on the issues of the day or just send in a wave. And we count that. As I mentioned earlier, we got a wave earlier this morning from North Dakota. We're going to add that to the map when I get some more tax and I hang that up on corkboard or the cardboard. So we look forward to starting with that. Some of you will have to remind me where you sent waves in. Because I know it's been throughout the whole country. So I do appreciate that. Again, in the 7 o'clock hour, Tim Colpine will be our guest. She's going to tell us all about Elmira Impact Hockey. So make sure you stay tuned for all 2 hours. Well, now about an hour and a half because we're moving quick. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Attention, Elmiron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmiron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmiron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmiron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
I'm Christy Kager from Piper Insurance, talking about the real-life savings of people you know. This year, we saved Frank and Barb Vassalo of Corning more than $300 on their insurance. We also insure their business, Rabbit Row Yarns. And we saved Todd and Sarah Strong of Painted Post more than $1,600 on their insurance. We'd love to save you money too. As a local independent insurance agency, we'll shop more than 12 insurance companies to find you a great price with good coverage.
Piper Insurance. We make insurance easy.
When you're on, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Fox 10 p.m. News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the Southern Tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. news on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. What a beautiful view of historic Market Street, right in the heart of the Gaffer District, and we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. So yes, Texas Democrats have left the state in a not all the elected Democrats, in an attempt to prevent the state House from holding a vote this morning on new congressional maps that Republicans hope will net them several additional U.S. House seats in the 2026 midterm elections. The dramatic move could expose Democrats to fines and other penalties. As a matter of fact, Governor Greg Abbott said this truancy ends now. The derelict Democrat House members must return to Texas and be in attendance when the House reconvenes at 3 p.m. on Monday. The governor said he will invoke Texas Attorney General Opinion Number KP 0382 to remove the absent Democrats from their elected office. In that opinion, the Attorney General considered, quote, whether Texas law allows for a determination that a legislator has vacated office if they intentionally break quorum. The Attorney General concluded that whether a specific legislator abandoned his or her office such that a vacancy occurred will be a fact question for a court. Real Texans do not run from a fight. But that's exactly what most of the Texas House Democrats just did, Abbott wrote in a letter yesterday. Rather than doing their job and voting on urgent legislation affecting the lives of all Texans, they have fled Texas to deprive the House of the quorum necessary to meet and conduct business. These absences are not merely unintended and unavoidable interruptions in public service, like a sudden illness or family emergency. Instead, these absences were premeditated for an illegitimate purpose. What one representative called breaking quorum. Another previously signaled that Democrats would have to go by an extreme measure of a quorum break to stop the bills from happening. In other words, Democrats hatched a deliberate plan not to show up for work for the specific purpose of abdicating the duties of their office and thwarting the chamber's business. That amounts to abandonment or forfeiture of an elected state office. The Democrat House members were elected to meet and vote on legislation not to prevent votes that may not go their way. Now, I'm not really surprised by this because to me it seems like a plan that they would, the Democrats would do, just like we saw in Washington when they left a hearing in protest. But refusing to attend legislative session is a civil violation, so Democrats legally could not be jailed, and it's unclear who has the power to carry out the warrants, but they may be fined or penalized. Democrats have cast the decision to leave the state as a last-ditch effort to stop Republicans who hold full control of the Texas government from pushing through a rare mid-decade redrawing of the congressional map at the direction of President Trump. To conduct official business, at least 100 members of the 150-member Texas House must be present. Democrats hold 62 of the seats in the majority Republican chamber. At least 51 Democrat members are leaving the state, said Josh Russ Neeson, a spokesman for the House Democrat caucus. Apathy is complicity, and we will not be complicit in the silencing of hardworking communities who have spent decades fighting for the power that Trump wants to steal. The move marks the second time in 4 years that Texas Democrats have fled the state to block a vote. In 2021, a 38-day standoff took place when Democrats left for Washington, D.C. in opposition to new voting registration. So they believe this is successful. Republican Governor Greg Abbott called a special session of the legislature that started last month to take up the redistricting effort, as well as to respond to flooding in Texas Hill Country that killed at least 135 people back in July. Trump has urged Texas Republicans to redraw the map to help the party net a handful of seats in the midterms next year. Democrat Party Chair Ken Martin said, "For weeks we've been warning that if Republicans in Texas want a showdown, if they want to delay flood relief to cravenly protect Donald Trump from an inevitable midterm meltdown, then we give them that showdown." That's exactly what Texas Democrats did today, blowing up Republicans' sham special session that's virtually ignored the plight of flood victims in Kerr County. Attorney General Ken Paxton said the state should use every tool at our disposal to hunt down those who think they are above the law. Democrats in the Texas House who try and run like cowards should be found, arrested, and brought back to the Capitol immediately. Texas Republicans last week unveiled their plan, the new U.S. House maps that would create 5 new Republican-leaning seats. Republicans currently hold 25 of the state's 38. By leaving the state, Democrats are looking to block Republicans from the needed quorum. As I mentioned, the Texas House has rules to fine lawmakers $500 each day that they break a quorum. GOP Attorney General Ken Paxton has previously said that if Democrats break quorum, they should be found and arrested no matter where they go. A large chunk of the Texas Democrats are heading to Illinois, where Democrat Governor J.D. Pritzker has been in quiet talks with them for weeks about offering support if they chose to leave the state. Now, that would be because Pritzker is, at least he considers himself a 2028 presidential contender, so he's trying to be a face of the resistance. We're going to tell you a little bit about the face of that resistance later on. Cory Booker going after his own party again. Whatever. We also have a couple things here about the Democrats in general. Last week, Pritzker hosted several Texas Democrats in Illinois to publicly oppose the redistricting effort. California Governor Gavin Newsom held a similar event in his own state. Pritzker also met privately with Texas Democrat Chair Kendall Scudder in June to begin planning for the possibility that lawmakers would depart for Illinois if they did decide to break quorum to block the map. Now, Jasmine Crockett, a rising star in the Democrat Party, complained about this redistricting, calling it a hot mess. In addition to the fact that I know that this legislation did ask us, members of Congress, to confirm our addresses, I don't know how many of us actually still reside in the district that we represent. I do not currently reside in my district based upon the plan that has been drawn, which is another red flag. It's a hot mess, and it's so sad that these people have no integrity and could care less about doing what's right. It truly breaks my heart to have people sign up to run for office, say that they want to help their communities, and they're doing everything to hurt communities. It's very disheartening that these are the people that are in control. The bill containing the new maps was filed by Texas State Representative Todd Hunter, who also chaired the legislative's 2021 redistricting committee. He argued the hearing that political performance was considered when drawing the maps. The state lawmaker said later that the newly drawn districts now trend Republican in political performances, but added that it doesn't guarantee electoral success. That's up to the candidates, but it does allow Republican candidates the opportunity to compete in these districts. As I mentioned, the DNC chair, man, he's trying to get out there. Ken Martin, it's quite a struggle. He's not doing a great job of getting the Democrats' message out there. In his defense, it's a very bad timing to lead the Democratic National Committee. But remember, he had that phone call essentially crying because David Hogg at the time was getting more attention than him. But he was asked if they would fight this redistricting. He said, absolutely we are, whether it's in the courts, whether it's organizing on the ground, which we've been doing. The reality is that we've been already, or let me try it again. The reality is that we've seen already is a craven power grab, an unconstitutional power grab in my mind. Look, the Constitution says very clearly that we have a decennial census. We draw the lines after that. The state legislatures are allowed to do that, but it does not give them the power to essentially redraw the lines whenever the heck they want to do it. And what Texas is doing right now is a craven power grab. As I said, We're going to fight fire with fire. If Texas wants a showdown, which they clearly do, we're going to give them that showdown. And I've talked with a number of Democrat governors around the country, and as you could tell, they're already preparing to follow suit here. You know, the reality is this was all done by Greg Abbott at the request of Donald Trump. They used flood relief as a reason for actually holding this special session. Now, there are some other states that will look to redraw their maps if Texas redraws theirs. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Then another couple of quick updates from over the weekend, and then we'll dive into some of the nitty-gritty. But boy, this program is moving quick this morning. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
It's 10 p.m. somewhere. Do you know where your kids are online?
In the world's poorest places, children with cleft conditions live in darkness and shame. They're shunned, outcast, living in pain. You can reach out and change the life of a suffering child right now. A surgery that takes as little as 45 minutes. And your act of love can change a child's life forever. Please call or visit operationsmile.org now. Thousands of children are waiting.
Nearly 5 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and Horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
Your Big Fox, WYDC TV, Elmira Corning.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. And how can we help like that in our small businesses, not to sound cliche, but are the backbone of our community? Let's talk about we. Thanks, as always, to you, the viewers, for sending in your texts and your voicemails. Now we go to a comment. This is from John in Elmira. Make sure to catch Frankly Speaking only on AM Big Fox News WYDC or visit our website at WYDCTV.com.
The Bix website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Mark writes in, as far as the American Eagles jeans ad, it's just another ridiculous move by the media and Democrats. It absolutely is. J.D. Vance, I think, said it perfectly, and I know I'm paraphrasing here. But if you want to call everybody who thinks Sydney Sweeney is beautiful a racist, then go for it, Democrats. That doesn't sound like a winning strategy to me. But so here's some states that could redraw their House maps before the 2026 election, after Texas has signaled that they are going to. Missouri. The White House has reportedly urged Republicans in Missouri to alter the state's House maps, under which the party currently holds 6 of 8 seats. It would be doable, according to Republican Representative Jason Smith. There are some crazy jagged edges in St. Charles County and Clay and Jackson County near Kansas City. And so I think you could have a more compact map. Florida, DeSantis is also among the Republican governors taking up the prospect of the mid-decade redistricting. Indiana is another. California, Governor Gavin Newsom has spoken openly about the prospects of redrawing his state's congressional lines in an effort to blunt the effects of the new Texas map. And we've heard the same from our governor, Governor Hochul. So New York is an area, boy, you'd have to move fast. But it's interesting because Governor Hochul is complaining about this, but she did not have a problem when they gerrymandered for the Democrats last go around, so much so that the courts threw them out. I won't sit by while Donald Trump and Texas Republicans try to steal our nation's future, Hochul said last week. Maryland, The 8-member House delegation in deep blue Maryland is unsurprisingly dominated by Democrats. That could be one area. Illinois, as we mentioned with Pritzker, Ohio, Louisiana. Now, the Supreme Court punted on a decision on Louisiana's congressional maps earlier this year and is set to rehear a challenge to the lines when it returns for the next term in the fall. And finally, Wisconsin, Utah, and then a few other states could consider it, depending on what happens in Texas. Okay, here's an update, a name you may not have thought of in some time. The U.S. Office of Special Counsel has opened an investigation into former Special Counsel Jack Smith that he may have illegally targeted President Trump. The Office of Special Counsel has Smith under a microscope regarding the possibility that he violated the Hatch Act, which says government workers are not allowed to take part in certain political activities. This was reported late Saturday. Noting, this is Fox News, noting it received confirmation of the probe from the office and that Smith is not being criminally investigated. The OSC is a government watchdog that operates independently as a federal investigative and prosecutorial office. In July, Senator Tom Cotton asked its members to investigate whether Smith, who was the special counsel for former Attorney General Merrick Garland, engaged in unlawful political activity to influence the 2024 presidential election and target Trump in doing so. Quote, President Trump, of course, vanquished Joe Biden, Jack Smith, every Democrat who weaponized the law against him. But President Trump's astounding victory doesn't excuse Smith of responsibility for his unlawful election interference. I therefore ask the Office of Special Counsel to investigate whether Jack Smith or any member of his team unlawfully acted for political purposes, the Senator Tom Cotton wrote. Now, Smith oversaw a pair of criminal investigations into Trump while former President Joe Biden was still in office. The outlet said one of the investigations was into Trump's handling of classified documents, the other as to whether his actions on January 6, 2021 was an attempt to overturn the 2020 election. Both cases were dismissed. An email reviewed by the New York Post states the Hatch Act unit, which enforces a law restricting government employees from engaging in political activities, has begun reviewing the former special counsel from the United States Department of Justice. The email was written by senior counsel Charles Baldus at OSC. Now, Smith resigned from the Department of Justice after he failed to bring the cases against Trump to trial. So there you go. Office of Special Counsel is investigating ex-Trump prosecutor Jack Smith. Also, yeah, we're moving quickly. We're covering a lot of things that you may have missed over the weekend, so you'll be prepared for the week ahead. FBI Director Kash Patel challenged news media to own who is really lying about the discovery of a stash of classified documents connected to the Trump-Russia collusion narrative. The director's comments came in the wake of recent reports that burn bags filled with thousands of documents dating back to the Trump-Russia probe were discovered in a room in the FBI headquarters. Posting on X, the director evoked his role as senior counsel for the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence during his first term and wrote, quote, in 2017 and 2018, I proved the Steele dossier was fictitious intelligence, weaponized by corrupt FBI officials to deceive a federal judge and unlawfully spy on then presidential candidate Trump's campaign, all paid for by his opponent. The media called me a liar. Now I'm the FBI director. We just uncovered burn bags, rooms filled with hidden Russiagate files, including the Durham Annex, and declassified them. Once again, I released the prior FBI's own documents and exposed the truth. The same media is calling me a liar again. Then came the challenge. Patel wrote, maybe this FBI will release more documents directly from FBI headquarters so we could see who is lying. Wouldn't want to deprive the fake news of more bogus Pulitzers. And then the Fox News reported that one potentially explosive find is the classified annex to former special counsel John Durham's final report. It would include the underlining intelligence in that probe. The find is yet another in a series of document revelations that point to a hidden agenda aimed at sabotaging Trump's first term in office. We may get an opportunity to speak a little bit more on that. Tulsi Gabbard did some interviews on that over the weekend. If we have an opportunity, we will get to that later on. So your thoughts on all this? Yes, I know we're covering a lot this morning. We are going to go to New York State issues here in just a moment. Before that, just something... I don't know what to think lately about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She likes to be kind of a contrarian. She likes being that person that gets, that's 3 waves right there, folks, gets a lot of attention. Well, in an interview with the Daily Mail, Marjorie Taylor Greene went after what she called the good old boys club, ranging from donors to politicians, who she says has complete control of the party's reins, much to the chagrin of many women in the party who feel overlooked and snubbed, which she believes is doing a disservice to party constituents. I think there's other women in our party that are really sick and tired of the way men treat Republican women. I think there's other women, Republican women, and I've just given my opinion here, who are really sick and tired of them. Greene, who has the largest following of any Republican woman in office, pointing to Representative Elise Stefanik as an example of a woman in the GOP who has been shafted, as she said. I mean, she got ripped off, we'll say, by Mike Johnson, and she got ripped off by the White House, adding earlier that she's not afraid of Mike Johnson at all. Meanwhile, she noted Mike Waltz was awarded a promotion to fill the UN ambassador position after the national security advisor and former Florida congressman was fired following the massive Signal encrypted app group chat scandal. She said, quote, she is not afraid at all of House Speaker Mike Johnson. I'm not blaming Trump particularly. I'm blaming the people in the White House. She continued to say she feels the party has strayed from its recent emerged anti-establishment values in the wake of Trump and has harkened back to its neocon days, leading to a misalignment with the party's base. She said, I had to beat 8 men and I had to really whoop one in the primary, and I did. And the primary is everything in my district, and I did that by myself. I didn't do that with anybody's help. Not President Trump, Mike Johnson, no one's. So your thoughts on Marjorie Taylor Greene. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News. When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
It's a season of sharing.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
If you are one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Market Street in Corning. As always, we thank you for joining us. Let's talk some New York State issues, shall we? We've got a few things here about Hochul, about Zohran Mamdani. We got a couple things here. From Joseph Polinsky, too. But before that, Daniel Turner, this actually came out, I believe it was Saturday, and I got to stash it away in my email so I wouldn't forget to mention it to you because it ties in with something we've talked so often about here on the program. New York has some of the highest residential and commercial construction costs and ranks in the top 10 most expensive states to live. Yet rather than focus on ways to make it more affordable for residents and attractive for investments, Governor Hochul is pushing to make gas stoves in new buildings illegal. Go figure. Her 2023 All-Electric Buildings Act bans natural gas hookups in new buildings that are 7 stories or less, meaning no gas stoves, hot water heaters, furnaces, or any other gas appliances will be allowed starting in 2029. This is a serious blow to freedom, common sense, and the future of the Empire State. It's even worse considering the state of New York's electric grid. This is where it gets important, folks. Energy prices are roughly 33% higher than the national average. A 2023 study by the Federal Emergency Regulatory Commission warned New York's grid is on the brink of collapse, and it's only luck that has kept the state from total catastrophe and loss of life. If such a damning FERC study was released by the Biden administration, one can only speculate how much worse the reality could be. Meanwhile, there's no reason to push people off natural gas. In fact, most of the world is desperate for more of it, not less. Germany just committed to a 3-year purchase of U.S. gas. Japan invested $44 billion in a natural gas pipeline in Alaska. A few days ago, President Donald Trump announced a $750 billion deal for American energy, including natural gas, for the European Union. New York seems alone in rejecting the economic benefits and the scientific evidence, so much for trust the science. In addition to the strain put on the grid by foregoing reliable, affordable energy, gas, and mandating electric appliances and machinery, New York continues to entice the construction of power-grabbing data centers. Recently offered $500 million in taxpayer-provided subsidies to lure a new data center in Genesee that will consume 250 megawatts of electricity, enough to power 100,000 homes. Hochul's all-electric plan represents two big punches in the face. First, it makes already expensive New York even more costly. Second, it makes an already vulnerable electric grid even more precarious by demanding more from it. Like the mathematical certainty of the sinking of the Titanic, New York's electric grid under Hochul's quote-unquote leadership is heading for collapse, not if, but when. Yet easy fixes can relieve the strain on the grid and lower costs, and provide political boons for the governor ahead of her re-election run next year. First, delay the all-electric plan. Encourage natural gas for new construction instead. The more appliances like hot water heaters and stoves that run on natural gas, the less the strain on the grid. Second, fast-track construction of the Constitution Pipeline. This project will bring natural gas from Pennsylvania into upstate New York and New England and offer a reliable, affordable energy resource to millions. Yes, environmental groups will holler, but most voters will back the governor when they see their utility hikes simmering down. Third, reopen the Indian Point nuclear power plant, the 3,200 megawatt facility unwisely closed by former Governor Andrew Cuomo in 2021. This facility is now being decommissioned, a process that will last more than 30 years. But getting it back online, as massive a project as that might be, is certainly faster and cheaper than the governor's plan to build new nuclear facilities. Energy is everything, and sound energy policy will not just make the state more affordable and livable and the grid more reliable, it'll make Hochul more electable. Like the grid, her political standing is precarious. More than half, 53% of New Yorkers, oppose Hochul's gas ban. Even among fellow Democrats, less than half, 48%, believe the state is moving in the right direction. New York's path to a better energy future, greater economic development, lower costs for residents, and a more secure grid is clear. The first step is stopping this illogical ban on natural gas. Does Hochul have the political will and savvy to pull it off? I thought that was a really important point. That's why I kept it from Saturday. Made sure that I had it in my back pocket to mention to you this morning. We're going to take another short break, and then we're going to wrap up our number one. Hard to believe. Stay with us.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized and a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
Day one of the National Glider Competition. Severe flooding has caused major disruptions in parts of Steuben County.
Throughout the year, prison reform has become a priority around New York State. Nearly 4 kilos of cocaine has been seized and a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
Something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Share in the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud. 7 and 7:30 on Big.
Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And to wrap up hour number one, let's go to viewer comments. The viewer comments section of our program brought to you by Steuben Senior Services Fund, empowering seniors to age at home. Jack writes in, Jack's opinion on MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, is that I'm glad she's a strong Republican woman. The Democrats have more outspoken women, but the difference is they change more with a Democrat wind. Marjorie Taylor Greene, although slightly more right of center on things, is still good to have around the political fish tank with her points of view. Thank you. There was hints in that interview that she may not leave the party necessarily, but she's definitely going to be the thorn in the side of some of the more, we'll say, moderate Republicans, which is not a bad thing. I think Governor Hochul, by the way, we just mentioned her push for the all-electric plan that we talked about so extensively last weekend. I think she's getting a little scared of Stefanik. We're going to talk about this when we come back in the next hour, but did you see that she called Stefanik pathetic? Now, as you know, Elise Stefanik has not officially declared that she's running for governor, though she did say it's just a matter of, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when she'll declare. Now, with Lawler dropping out and not running, it looks as if it will be Stefanik, but again, she said she's not going to make a decision until November. The problem with that is, I think the major problem is if she decides against it, the Republican doesn't stand a chance if they're just starting November. She stands a chance just starting in November because she has more name recognition than most Republicans. She's very good at fundraising. I still don't understand the reasoning behind waiting till after the November elections. Answer what votes there are in November. I don't understand it, but that's where we stand. But when we come back, we're going to tell you what Governor Hochul had to say about Stefanik. Also, a few things here about Mamadani. We learned last week that he had a horrible attendance record. As a matter of fact, he only passed one bill in Albany last year, and he wasn't even there to vote on it. He was too busy campaigning. So, and just to show you how the media defends Democrats, Robert Gavin writes, when it comes to making the trip to Albany, some legislators don't always find the time. So I guess defending Mamadani. And he went on to talk about some of the lawmakers that had to miss for good reason, for health reasons, right? Anyway. We don't have to go through all that. I see some comments coming in, but we got to wrap up hour number one. Stay with us. Hour number two, mere moments away. We're going to kick off with New York State issues. And we got a lot more to cover this morning. We are moving fast. It's hard to believe. Hour number one in the books. Hour number two coming up after this.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
In today's securing your business is more important than ever. Protected with Boss Security's state-of-the-art alarm systems. When seconds matter, trust the experts. Boss Security is proud to safeguard local businesses across the Twin Tiers. Contact Boss Security today.
What better start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big
Welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Marcus Street in Corning. I'm so glad that you've joined us. Let's go to the section of the program where we read viewer comments, brought to you by Steuben Senior Services Fund, empowering seniors to age at home. Mark writes in, I swear Governor Hochul has stocks in NYSEG. If she bans gas stoves and hot water tanks, that means your gas appliances wear out. When they wear out, you'll have to switch to electric, and the cost of that is phenomenal. And the reason for the electric bills going up recently is because we are paying for the grid upgrades to handle what Hochul wants. Oh, yes, I mean, it's very easy to blame NYSEG, and I know NYSEG has these informational hearings where people get very mad and yada, 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 but it's really because of the policies of Governor Hochul. So you're exactly right, Mark. Thank you very much. Now, Hochul blasted Elise Stefanik, calling her pathetic over the weekend. Hochul warned that the president, who grew up in New York, has his sights set on helping a Republican become governor. Quote, if a Republican gets elected as governor against me, think about the power that Donald Trump will have over everything in the state, including the city. That should give people great pause, she said. She seemed amused that Trump appeared to intervene in the politics, encouraging Mike Lawler not to run against her. She also swiped at Stefanik, accusing her of playing rough and tumble politics. Last week, in the wake of the deadly Midtown massacre in which a sicko fatally gunned down 4 people, including an NYPD officer, Stefanik spotlighted a 2020 social media post from Democrat Socialist mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani going after the NYPD. Stefanik wrote, flashback, Kathy Hochul's very own Kami Mamdani, a disgrace and truly unfit to be mayor of NYC. Hochul fired back yesterday saying it's pathetic, and especially in the time when we're a city that's in mourning, to be taking cheap shots and trying to interfere or try to infer that he had something to do with this. I mean, come on. She tries so hard. She just doesn't have it. Very awkward deliveries, very, we'll just say not natural. A spokesperson for Stefanik quickly fired back, saying New Yorkers are thankful for the swift response and heroism of our brave men and women in law enforcement. What is giving New Yorkers great pause is the continuation of Kathy Hochul's inept and failed leadership that is destroying our state. Hochul is beholden to Kami Mamdani and has clearly bent the knee to his raging defund the police anti-Semite. It is a disgrace to every New Yorker that Mamdani would defund the very law enforcement officers that responded to this heinous, violent crime, and the worst governor in America just stands silently by and will allow it to happen. I'm telling you, that will be a debate, won't it? Now, you recall at the time the governor was calling for a ban on what she called assault weapons. Why do we even allow these weapons of mass destruction to be sold anywhere in America? Other countries have completely banned them. Why can't Congress and the president step up and say, this is it, no more? So, again, Governor Hochul believes she gets to decide what rights under the Constitution you have and which ones you don't, because she is the all-powerful Governor Kathy Hochul, calling Elise Stefanik pathetic. Now, we've talked about the Democrat Party and this anti-Semitism. Stefanik mentioned it with Mamdani. And it's not just Mamdani. We've seen it from other Democrat candidates and Democrat politicians. And it was Van Jones who said back in election season that the Democrat Party is marbled with anti-Semitism. Well, Queens Councilwoman Tiffany Cabin and Queens Assemblywoman Claire Valdez were among dozens of protesters arrested on Friday at an anti-Israel demonstration. Where was this anti-Israel demonstration? Well, of course, they were at the offices of Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand. Ooh, interesting. A nice example of the left turning on the left. The demonstration, organized by the Jewish Voice for Peace organization, was held to protest Schumer and Gillibrand for recently voting against a measure that would halt U.S. arms shipments to Israel amid the war in Gaza. Their votes came as Israel, which is waging a war to eradicate Hamas in retaliation for the terrorist group's October 7, 2023 attack, has faced international condemnation for blocking critical aid, like food and medicine, from getting into Gaza, where the UN says starvation, especially among children, is becoming widespread. Cabin got her hands zip-tied. Again, that's Queens Councilwoman Tiffany Cabin, before being escorted onto a decommissioned MTA bus with other protesters after refusing calls from the NYPD officers to disperse from the lobby of the senator's office. So the senators arresting their fellow Democrats. Levy said Cabin, a Democrat socialist who represents Western Queens in the city council, was taken into custody for participating in civil disobedience to demand that Israel stop starving Gaza. Israel attacks in Gaza have created the highest rate of child amputees in the world, Levy said. Israel is blocking food, medicine, and baby formula from entering Gaza. Israel is systematically destroying Palestinian life and society, and Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand are writing the check. Never again is now. Valdez, a fellow Democrat socialist who also represents Western Queens, was also put into zip ties after being arrested. While being led onto the bus, Valdez told reporters the U.S. and Israel must stop starving Gazans. So this is a normal tactic used by Democrats now, which is they want to get arrested. If you recall that piece, I think it was by Axios, so it might have been Politico, where Democrats were saying their constituents, specifically Democrat voters, wanted them to really get aggressive, get arrested, get punched, get attacked, something like that, in an effort to draw attention to some of these issues. So I just bring that up because we know that Zohran Mamdani has some explaining to do when it comes to his views on Palestine and Israel. I was distracted. Sorry, someone was putting something under the door there, so I'm not sure what that is. We'll check that during break. Zohran Mamdani embraces countless lefty causes. Not opposing Israel, as he himself said on the campaign trail, is central to my identity. Not supporting or even opposing Israel is central to his identity. Believe him, judge him accordingly, and realize this isn't about justice but hate. He may drop his calls to defund the NYPD or fall short in hiking taxes on the rich, but he'll never stop targeting the Jewish state and vilifying all who support it. Only on the topic of Israel and Palestine does Mamdani lose his grin, quit cocking his head and entering a grim space of steely hate. Post-colonialist academic is what he's being described. Palestinian liberation from Israel, not from the barbaric extremists of Hamas or the corruptocrats of Fatah, was a driving force for Zohran way back in his days at Bowdoin College, where he started a chapter of an anti-Israel club, the only time he has run anything. In December 2023, remarks now resurfacing, Mamdani insisted the rest of us are just ignorant. Pro-Israel politicians, quote, answers were written around 20 to 30 years ago. They speak to a reality that does not exist. As if the worldwide growth of anti-Semitism somehow made the Jewish state less necessary rather than more. Reality, Israel is an actual country of 10 million, including millions of Arabs, whereas Palestine is an entity that has never existed, one nobody even imagined before Israel's creation. Democrat mayoral nominee also slammed Western supporters of Israel's answer to Hamas's October 7th, 2023 atrocities as delusional, explaining that for so many people, Israel is not a place, it's not a country, it's an idea, he said. Funny, that's surely at least as true of him and his fellow anti-Israel obsessives the world over. He's not a Palestinian, nor even an Arab, has never been to Israel and has no plans to go, nor does he show anything like the concern or other oppressed Muslims. Those people are clearly targeted for elimination by their governments that control their land, whereas the Palestinian population has grown several times over in the decades that Israel supposedly has been trying to genocide them. The obsession isn't about the oppressed, it's about the Jews. We understand that lefties the world over don't consciously see that it's about the Jews, but the double and triple standards allow for no other rational explanation. That Mamdani dresses up this ancient hate in the latest jargon doesn't make it or him any less despicable. But listen to this poll that came out over the weekend coming from forward.com. Jews prefer Mamdani to other New York City mayoral candidates, but do worry about their safety under his control. Jewish New Yorkers support Zohran Mamdani more than any candidate for mayor, but they strongly disagree about how he would shape their future. Mamdani is pulling the largest share of Jewish voters at 37%, with the rest dispersed between his competitors. Eric Adams, 25%, Cuomo, 21%, and Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa, 14%. The results largely align with polls by Zenith Research and Public Progress Solutions earlier this week. So Jews prefer Mamdani to other New York City mayoral candidates, but worry about their safety under him. The New York Daily News, which is far left, but they said that Zohran Mamdani has a lot of explaining to do when it comes to cops in New York City. We know that that elite force that was used at that shooting last week, that would be disbanded under a mayor, Mamdani. According to reports, Mamdani spared no expense to keep his guests safe with military-style commando guards and a phone jamming system. Whoever thought you could feel safer at a party in Uganda than you could on a subway platform? It's not a stretch for New Yorkers to wonder why they don't deserve the same protection. Bill Maher sparred with Representative Jason Crow on the possibility of Mamdani being the mayor. There's a lot of opposition to Mamdani because we've never had someone this radical, said Bill Maher. Some of the things he says, he quotes Marxists, each according to their needs. I mean, that's straight up communism. He then responded to Representative Jason Crow, who claimed the Democrat mayoral frontrunner is being tagged as a contrived villain or boogeyman by Republicans to scare voters. Yes, we had that piece for you last week where they tried to suggest there's some Zohran Mamdani derangement syndrome, even though he's quoting Marx. They always try to create a villain, in my point. They always try to create some boogeyman or boogie woman. Bill Maher did fire back at that, saying he's not contrived. He's going to be the mayor of New York. We've never quite had a guy like this. Everything that the crazy far right alleged about Obama wasn't born in America, Islamist, socialist, anti-Semite, hates America. It's all true about this guy, Mamdani. Whew. All right. Oh, and Long Island's Suffolk County, they're offering tax breaks to New York City companies who relocate if Mamdani becomes mayor. If Mr. Mamdani wins, I'm going to encourage many of the corporations that do business in New York City to come to Suffolk, about 70 miles east, said County Executive Ed Romaine. We're going to give them tax breaks. We're going to be able to do better. Come out to Suffolk. Romaine, a Republican, said he doesn't believe that Mamdani, currently a 33-year-old state assemblyman representing Astoria and Western Queens, has the experience and wisdom to run the nation's largest metropolis. He knows that Mamdani's proposed free bus fare program for the city sounds great, but said someone has to pay for it. The taxpayers who pay the taxes, how much are they going to put up with? All right, we got to take a short break. Maybe a little bit more on this, but we're going to jump all around here. Read some of your comments, see whatever that was that someone dropped off at my door. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Steuben County Office for the Aging will be hosting a public hearing on Thursday, September 18th at First Presbyterian Church in Bath. This hearing is to review the 2026 annual implementation plan for the Older Americans Act and the Steuben County Office for the Aging. This public hearing will take place at 9 a.m. on Thursday, September 18th in the Fellowship Hall of the First Presbyterian Church in Bath. Copies of the plan will be available at the Office for the Aging.
Is this your mom?
Yes.
And that's your dad?
Nope.
I'm the father.
Even if you're the father, you're lying.
My family does not like my boyfriend.
Solid family.
I've had enough of this. I'm not your mommy.
Now you're just talking crazy.
Don't do that. I'm not your auntie, I'm your mother.
Can't cross mama and come in here and get treated nice. Your case is dismissed and so are you.
We've had so many wonderful memories as a family. Dropping Shelly off at school, I prayed he wouldn't get stuffed in a gym bag. Missy might have been the one in Little League.
I'm asking the Lord to watch over my little girl.
Well, while you're at it, ask him for a win. I got money on this.
But Georgie is the one who threw us the real curveball.
I got a girl pregnant.
Oh, no. Are you kidding me? We may not be perfect, but to me, we have the perfect family.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street Corning. Coming up in about a little over 5 minutes, we're going to talk with Tim Colpine. He's going to tell us all about Elmira Impact Hockey as they get ready to start their 6th season. But let's go to the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program where we read viewer comments. First up, Mark writes, I think it's great getting a Republican governor in New York State. The new responsible gun owners will get our gun rights back as we are stripped of them now. Thank you very much. Stefanik is going to be a good candidate if she decides to run. And I think that's why we see that fear in the comments that Governor Hochul has been making lately. Ken writes in, arresting Democrats that want notoriety by making a scene against Republicans gets them a slap on the hand and praise from other Democrats and the legacy media. Arresting Democrats that make a scene against other Democrats will get them actually charged, scorned by other Democrats and the legacy media, and probably get them primaried. Good point, Ken. Yes, we know a lot of this is just the performance of it, the grandstanding, but then they know they're going to get, not those two that were protesting fellow Democrats, but the ones that protest Republicans. They're going to be asked on to the Sunday shows. They're going to get a lot of attention. A lot of fundraising dollars will be coming in. Now, we were talking about Zohran Mamdani. According to Mark Penn and Andrew Stein, I believe this was at the Washington Post. Penn was a pollster and advisor to Bill and Hillary Clinton, and Stein served as New York City Council president from 86 to 93. They said Andrew Cuomo can still save New York City. The former governor is vastly preferable to Mamdani and more popular than Adams. Perhaps counterintuitively, the city's best hope is former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who lost the primary to Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Cuomo also is running as an independent. Ironically, Cuomo owes his primary loss to a bill he signed as governor in 2019. Before then, New York City held its Democrat mayoral primary in September, and if no candidate got 45%, the top two finishers faced each other in a runoff. The 2019 law moved the primary to June, when turnout was sure to be lower, and introduced ranked choice voting, a difficult-to-understand system that effectively disenfranchises voters who can't figure it out. As a result, the primary became easy to game. Under the old system, even if Mr. Mamdani had finished first in a September primary, which is doubtful, he would have faced a runoff that would have fully vetted his extreme views. Mr. Cuomo could still give him that runoff. Turnout in city general election has been dropping only 23% in 2021, so there are millions of voters who could get involved and stop Mamdani before it's too late. Do you think Governor Cuomo can do it? Sorry, I guess I turned my eye. There you go. There's your question of the day. By the way, there's a really good opinion piece in the New York Post saying that the New York shooting that we mentioned earlier in this program, and we talked about it a lot last week, would never have happened if mental illness were handled properly. And we had a lot of people that spoke to that last week that wrote in that very same sentiment. When everyone is marked for concern, the system floods with noise, making true signals of danger harder to recognize. A more effective mental health system would be both smaller and larger than the one we have now. It would be more ambitious and certainly involve the robust participation of the national government. But it should be more focused on the hardest cases. All right, we got to take a short break here. Where do I want to go here? When we come back, we're going to talk with Tim Colpine from Elmira Impact Hockey. But we also have quite a few things here about the Democrat Party. We know that Kamala Harris is releasing that book soon called 107 Days. She did her interview with Stephen Colbert, receiving some pushback on that. And also the concerns that she may put the blame to Joe Biden, may tell some stories in there that do not make Joe Biden look great. While Biden's allies have sent the warning, this came out on, I think, Friday, late Friday, maybe early Saturday, saying if you attack Biden, we'll release embarrassing stories about you that they call Palin-esque. I don't know why they always try to, the media and the left always tries to paint Sarah Palin as some dunce. I mean, I think McCain had no chance of winning no matter what, but I think Palin brought him a lot more votes than he would have received otherwise. But we're going to talk about that maybe in a little bit. But first, we're going to hear from Tim Colpine when we come back. Also, a few things here about the Trump administration in general. We could talk more about the jobs numbers Like I said, the media is saying it's basically the end of the world as we know it. This is the end of democracy. There is and I hope we get an opportunity to bring this up, but it's from a liberal writer. And the liberal writer is called the Liberal Patriot. It says, Democrats should give up on resistance 2.0. The idea that this has not worked and never will work, these constant protests, I think there was a protest over the weekend. Did I read that there was going to be one on Saturday? Of course, the media loves covering those protests because it gives voice to those that hate Trump. So we'll talk about that as well if we get an opportunity. Yeah. Let's take that break and hear from Tim Colpine when we come back. This is Frankly Speaking on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
It's 10 p.m. somewhere. Do you know where your kids are online?
Nearly 5 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
Your Big Fox, WYDC TV, Elmira Corning.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. And how can we help like that in our small businesses, not to sound cliche, but are the backbone of our community? Let's talk about thanks, as always, to you, the viewers, for sending in your texts and your voicemails. Now we go to a comment. This is from John in Elmira. Make sure to catch Frankly Speaking only on AM Big Fox News WYDC or visit our website at WYDCTV.com.
Fox 10 p.m. News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the southern tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. news on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio, Tim, welcome back. 6th season.
Yes. Thank you, Frank, for having us back again.
The Elmira Impact Hockey. Did you think it would last 6 years? Or that you would be involved 6 years?
Well, that's a good question. And, you know, when we started the program, it seems like way back when now. But we started it as an opportunity to help local players, you know, advance to playing a higher level of junior hockey and college hockey. And the league that we play in is scouted by junior scouts and college scouts, and that's why players come to play for us. So, yeah, we just sort of started it as an opportunity for local players. And it has grown into, over the years, we've had more than 200 players from 12 different countries, and we've been able to help a lot of those guys advance their hockey careers.
And it's growing each year, isn't it?
It is. It grows each year, and each year our geographical reach grows as well. I mean, we started out just in Elmira, but now we play in Elmira and also Ithaca, and we're also going to do home games in Shenango and Batavia as well, as we kind of grow into a more regional program.
So and we're going to talk about host families and like that, but when you talk about travel, how does that work? That's quite a bit of travel to go to a home game in Shenango.
It is. I mean, all of our travel is by coach buses, so we've got a great relationship with Benedict's bus. We've been with them all 5 years that we've played thus far, and yeah, and that's both for player safety, as well as it's just we try to run the organization in a professional way and give the players, a professional experience.
So tell us, the people that are just tuning in, I know you've been on the program a few times, and we've had Impact Hockey come into the studio for the Salvation Army Telethon, ring the bell for us.
Yes.
But for those that aren't aware of Elmira Impact Hockey, tell us a little bit about it.
So, as I said, we have players come from all over the world to play for us, and they come because they want to play in college in the United States or in higher level of juniors. Now, people are juniors, and they think it's little kids. It's not youth hockey.
Right.
Our players are aged 17 to 20.
Okay.
And we play all over the Northeast. We play a 44-game regular season schedule. It starts in late September, and we finish in March. And the players come to live here full time while they're playing for us.
Wow. We want to talk about that because I know host families, it's always a big topic when we have you in. But before that, when does the new season start? You said September?
Yes, our first weekend of games this year is begins September 20th. We're on the road in Long Island.
Okay.
Our first home weekend is September 26th and 27th.
So when does practice begin?
Practice begins shortly after Labor Day, so the players will all be coming in about a month from now.
Oh, okay. So everybody's excited, I'm sure,
Yes.
to start the season.
Yes.
How's the team look this year? Yeah, you don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know.
Them,
We'll see. But our coaches have done an outstanding job putting the teams together as they do every year. As a matter of fact, last season, so we have two teams. We have two different divisions in our league, and we field a team in each division. And as a matter of fact, each team last year had an historical high finish in the division. So, so expectations are high, for success this year. We have several players who played for us last year who are going to be back again with us this season.
Well, and you may have mentioned, how many players do you have total?
Each team carries about 25 players,
About 25.
So approximately 50. And of those 50, about a quarter are local players from the southern tier of New York or northern tier of Pennsylvania. And then again, the others come here from literally all over the world.
Now, as we talk about each time, host families are so important.
Yes.
How does that look this year? Are you still in need?
We're still in need. The answer to that question is always yes. Because one thing I've learned over the years we've been doing this is that you can never have too many options when it comes to host families. So, we are very fortunate. We have many families who are back with us hosting players season after season. So we do have many host families.
Sure.
But we could always, no matter how many we have, we could always use more. And if I could just say a word about the host family experience, it's very positive. You build lifelong relationships with these players, and some of the best stories are when our host families talk about players who lived with them 3 years ago, who come back to visit, or they go elsewhere to watch them play hockey wherever they're playing now. Things like that. And the host families, basically all you need is a safe place. That's what we're looking for, is a safe home away from home for these players. The players are insured. They provide their own transportation. They've all passed criminal background checks, and host families also receive a stipend for hosting players.
And you mentioned that there's repeat customers, so to speak, right? That must speak volumes about how much fun it is to be a host family.
It does, and actually our best recruiters for new host families are our current host families.
I'm sure they probably look forward to the season just as much as the players.
They do. They're all very excited, and putting the housing puzzle together is something we'll be doing here over the next couple of weeks, and yes, they're ready to go.
So are they responsible for getting them to practice, things like that?
No, the team is responsible for that.
Okay.
So literally all they need is a safe place for the player. We could even provide a bed if that's needed. So it's basically just a safe home away from home is the major qualification.
How big of fans do the host families become? They must travel around with a team in most scenarios. Right?
Some of them do, and actually, it's kind of funny. We had a family that joined us. I can't remember now, 3 or 4 years ago, and when they joined us, they didn't know a hockey stick from a tennis racket. And by the end of the season, they were the most rabid hockey fans you could ever meet. So our host families are pretty pretty strongly involved in
I'm
what
sure
we
they
do.
are. I mean, how could you not be? Especially as the relationship grows and you become a second family, you know. And so you would think you've got to get a jersey, right? You've got to come to at least a couple of the games, I would think. So I'm sure the families could speak to this too, but I'm sure you as well. What is it like when you have these success stories? I mean, you're still following careers probably from day one, right?
It is, and we've had a lot of success stories on the ice, players who have gone on to play, obviously, NCAA hockey, but also players who have gone on to play minor professional hockey, as well as get invited to an NHL camp.
Wow.
And so, I mean, on the ice, those stories are exciting to follow. But in all honesty, some of the most satisfying stories are, like I sort of mentioned, with the relationships that players build with host families. I mean, these are lifelong relationships. And also, there are some guys who, have played for us a season, then went on to play hockey for a couple seasons, and then, left hockey. And some of the most satisfying moments I've had is writing letters of recommendation for these guys for jobs or for, joining the military or for other things. And sort of our goal is, even though we're very proud of the success we've had on the ice, I mean, I tell people that we really won't know whether an individual season was a success or not until like 5, 6, 7 years down the road. See what these players are doing, not only in hockey, but also, doing to have a positive impact on their communities.
Because especially in that age group, there's so much to learn. That's when you're kind of coming into adulthood, really. So this is a lot of this is a great way to get that responsibility, to get that push out into adulthood.
It is, and again, the guys are 17 to 20 are the age limits in the league that we play in. They're all amateurs, of course. And the one thing we always have a big gathering at the beginning of the season, because we've got players coming in from all over the place, and that's when their parents come in with them as well. So the one thing I always tell parents is there's only 2 things I'll guarantee, and that is one, that by the end of the season your son will be a much better hockey player than he was when he arrived, and 2 is that he'll also be much more mature, because a lot of these players are coming into a situation where they're going to be on a team with players they've never met before, and they have to learn.
Everybody's strangers.
Right. You have to learn to pretty quickly work together with a group of strangers, and you may be living in a house where the people's background isn't exactly like the one you came from, and you learn to adapt into those situations as well. But it's really exciting to see how quickly these guys come together. I mean, by the first games we play in September, I mean, you'll think that these guys had known each other for years.
Well, especially with practice.
Right, because they spend literally 24 hours.
I was going to ask, what's the practice look like? I mean, how much a day are they practicing before the first game?
So they practice every day, practice during the mornings, and then there's other team activities that go on as well, off-ice activities. So it's pretty much, they live the life of a full-time hockey player. And many of them are also taking classes. Some of them, last year we had 4 or 5 players taking classes at Elmira College while they were here, or Corning Community College. Many of them also, work part-time jobs. They also have a mandatory community service.
I was just going to say.
So it's a very busy schedule.
Well, I think that's a great component to it, because there's already a community team, right? The community roots for it, but then to get them out into the community to help and volunteer, I think is wonderful.
Yes.
I mean, what a great initiative.
Yeah, and we've had many great experiences along those lines, as you know, from the Salvation Army events that you've been involved in, and we've been involved in as well.
Yep. So how is this all possible? You mentioned you've got the charter bus. This is not free. Let's face it. And I don't know how much tickets are, but I'm sure you're not making all of it back from tickets.
No, and we're always looking for business partners.
Right. Okay, that's what I was getting to.
I mean, we are a break-even organization. Yeah. Literally nobody makes money. So we're always looking for people to come alongside of us, and the businesses that support us have always done so because they feel it's a positive thing for the community. Obviously, we're having a positive impact on these players and their lives, and again, many of these players are local players as well. So businesses derive some satisfaction from knowing that this is a good thing for the community. It's a good thing for the players, good thing for local players, and just sort of back of the envelope math. I mean, we have spent over $2 million in the regional economy since we founded this program.
Yeah, and think of it. Yeah, I mean, you've got these kids coming from out of town, what they spend too.
Right.
I mean, they're not,
and their families, and also visiting teams. Visiting teams come in. and buy hotel rooms, for the weekend and spend their money here and that sort of thing.
So if people want to become either a business partner or just want to find out more about being a host family, I had the graphic up on the screen, or if they want tickets, where can they go?
They can email, they can check out our website, which is elmiraimpact.com. Our schedule will be up shortly.
Okay.
And that will have all the ticket links on it. People can also buy merchandise
I saw
on the website. But most importantly, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today, because if you're interested in becoming a host family, learning more about it, shoot us an email at info at elmiraimpact.com.
Okay.
Also, if you're interested in learning more about partnering with us on the business side, it's the same email, info at elmiraimpact.com. And lastly, we're always looking for volunteers. We are a break-even organization. We have a lot of volunteers who support us in different ways, shape, or form. And if you're interested in volunteering and helping us on game nights or otherwise, again, info at elmiraimpact.com.
Well, Tim, as always, thanks so much for being on the show. We'll get you signed up for the telethon.
Oh,
okay.
We'll be happy to be back again.
Great. And best of luck this season.
Thanks, Frank.
All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
Wrongful death after a motor vehicle crash, the words say it all, but do not begin to capture the anguish, the suffering, and the loss. It's hard not to be emotional during a time like that, but that's exactly the time when you need someone to be clear-headed, eyes open, and know exactly what has to be done to protect survivors and to get some justice. That someone will be me, William Mattar, when you call 444-4444.
We've had so many wonderful memories as a family. Dropping Shelly off at school, I prayed he wouldn't get stuffed in a gym bag. Missy might have been the one in Little League.
I'm asking the Lord to watch over my little girl.
Well, while you're at it, ask him for a win. I got money on this.
But Georgie is the one who threw us the real curveball.
I got a girl pregnant.
Oh, no. Are you kidding me? We may not be perfect, but to me, we have the perfect family.
In Albina, Buffalo, was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
Day one of the National Glider Competition, severe flooding has caused major disruptions in parts of Steuben County.
Throughout the year, prison reform has become a priority around New York State.
The Fox Sports app isn't just any sports app. It's your sports app.
For the touchdown!
Yeah, yours. Your teams. Your highlights. Your scores. Your stories. Just choose your favorites to get more of what you want.
To the end zone!
And of course, stream your teams live. The best part is free with your pay TV subscription.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I want to thank Tim Colpine for being on the broadcast this morning as Elmira Impact Hockey is about to begin its 6th season. So we thank him for being on the show. On tomorrow's program, we're going to hear from some of the cast of Big Fish, which is part of the Corning Pen and Post Middle School Drama Club community musical. Think of them as kind of almost a sponsor of it because it's of all age groups. It's Big Fish, Dream, Love, Live Bigger. And that actually kicks off on August 7th. So August 7th and 8th at 7 p.m. and August 9th at 2 p.m. And that's being held at the Corning Pen and Post High School Theater. We're going to learn all about it on tomorrow's broadcast. And then later in the week, we're going to hear about India Day. India Day returns to Centerway Square in Corning at 3 p.m. on August the 9th. We're going to learn all about that on, I believe, Thursday's broadcast, so don't miss out on that. Right now, it's time to go to the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program, where we read viewer comments. First up, as much as we dislike gerrymandering, it is a system in place, and Democrats use it in blue states all the time. So what's happening in Texas is not unprecedented. And more importantly, the redistricting may eliminate Jasmine Crockett's seat. So there's definitely an upside to this. Thank you very much. Yes, this is not unprecedented. I know that Governor Hochul said it's wrong. It's so wrong that if they do it, I'm going to do it. Comment from a different viewer. In a time when people want to make America great again, Hochul didn't get the memo. She is responsible for completely unconstitutional anti-American laws. We the people are watching. We the people are watching. Comment from another viewer. Good morning, Frank. Hey, it's Climate Fact Friday, Bob. Hey, Bob. Glad that you're joining us on this Monday. I guess Hochul needs a reality check on the subject of natural gas. Like I said last Friday, if the U.S. went all green energy and the rest of the world continued to use fossil fuels, the climate would still continue to warm. Hochul is just playing to the green energy keyboard rangers to get votes for 2026. But to that point, and thank you, Bob, to that point by the New York Post, and I can't remember who the author was, she stands to gain a lot if she would embrace natural gas. It would help her a lot more in the election season. But I know what you're saying. She gets a lot of money from these green groups. So I totally understand what you're saying, Bob, and I agree. Speaking of the Democrat Party, Joe Biden's allies are prepared to escalate and reveal unflattering stories about Kamala Harris should the former vice president decide to talk about the former president's cognitive decline in that new book, 107 Days, or just in interviews or whatever the case may be. The stories about Harris's tenure as Biden's number 2 are what they call Palin-esque, in a way to insult Sarah Palin, though, as I've said numerous times on this program, I think Sarah Palin helped John McCain a lot more than they ever give her credit for. I will tell you, and this is coming from Mark Halperin, I will tell you, and this has never been reported, barely at all, if the Biden people decide that Kamala is coming after Joe Biden, wait till you hear the Palin-esque stories about how much they tried to help her be prepared to be vice president and be in a position to run, and how much they decided not happening. She's not up to this. I'm not going to talk about Palin here. They go on to talk about Palin. But if the Biden people feel threatened, you will hear stories about Kamala Harris as vice president that will not make her look good. So there's a closeness to the couples. It's not like they're at war currently. But I'm telling you, if Joe Biden feels threatened, if his people feel threatened by her, this is going to escalate in a big way. He argued that Harris would have a hard time defending against the stories if that dam were to burst. Journalist Alex Thompson and Jake Tapper in that book, Original Sin, we learned that Harris was described as a regular headache for the White House. She often shied away from politically tough assignments when Biden had accepted such assignments as vice president. She even turned down seemingly simple asks, such as headlining D.C.'s Gridiron Club dinner. Many of the Biden team felt that Harris didn't put in the work and was also just not a very nice person. Several quietly expressed buyer's remorse. They should have picked Michigan Governor Whitmer to be VP instead. Halperin argued that Biden's people were extraordinary in trying to help her do the job of vice president. They gave her every opportunity, and they did. They found in some instances that she had some issues. Well, there you are. The co-hosts of The View described Harris and her interview with Colbert as a microcosm of everything that's wrong with the Democrat Party. Ooh. Griffin, Elisa Farah Griffin, one of the co-hosts, said, "I was struck by, I'm going to try to not to be harsh on this. This interview felt like a microcosm of everything that's wrong with Democrats post-election. I'm going to CBS, and this sort of trying to make a point that they fired Stephen Colbert, which many of the left called an attack on democracy, a man who was making $20 million a year, someone I hold in high esteem, but the economics of his show were not working. He was losing $40 million a year. He was in the Ed Sullivan Theater, which is expensive. To talk about the plight of democracy at CBS, a network that's having its own struggles right now, rather than talking about the economics of the situation and playing to something a shrinking audience that is network television, not realizing it's not where the American voters are," she said. Harris, again, talking with Colbert, we know all about that, and how she thinks the system is broken. Enton, CNN data analyst Harry Enton said, "I just can't possibly believe that someone who was attorney general for a good period of time, a United States senator for a good period of time, and then vice president for 4 years, and then ran for president, all of a sudden believes that the best way to solve it is from being outside the system. Oh, please. Not a chance on God's green earth that's necessarily the case. What's probably going on is she saw that the polling numbers, what they look like, perhaps for her running for governor of California. Yes, she has left open the idea that maybe she could run in 2028 for the Democratic nomination. But I'll tell you, Abby, I've looked at those numbers. She would be the weakest front runner since 1992. So the bottom line is this. She's looking at the numbers. She knows what's cooking. And then all of a sudden, you know what? Actually, the lifetime politician, I want to be on the outside of the system. Give me a break. A microcosm of everything that's wrong with the Democrat Party. today. Now, Cory Booker has a message to Democrats. Yes, he has decided to turn on Democrats, even though he knows they're in the minority, suggesting they need to do more. Don't bend the knee to Trump. He is imploring his party to fight back harder. See, he thinks he is the face of the resistance because he wants to run in 2028. So by being the face of the resistance, all you need to do is speak for 25 hours and 5 minutes and really accomplish absolutely nothing. But that put him on the fast track to being resistance leaders. He argued that history will remember some of their complicity in his own party and bending a knee to Trump. In a wide-ranging interview on CNN, he said, "What I want to see more people do is not doing what some law firms have done, bend the knee to Donald Trump. Not doing what some university have done, bend the knee to Trump. You see major corporations who want some merger approval, not standing up on principle, but bending the knee to Donald Trump. That, to me, is outrageous. History is going to remember these people for their complicity, and what is a guy that's going to severely try to undermine our government, who already incited a riot on our Capitol. This is a moment in history where people are going to ask, where did you stand? Did you bow to an authoritarian leader, or did you stand strong and fight?" Wow. He likes going after his own party. We saw last week when he did this, and someone in his own party said, enough with the grandstanding, enough with attacking us. You know we can't accomplish these things. We're in the minority. How far are we going to let Trump go until we draw a line and say, I don't care where it is, on the floor of the Senate, within our communities? We're going to stand and fight against this authoritarianism, he said. Trump thinks you should break the rules for Democrats to sit back and just say, okay, we're going to play by the Queen's rules. No, I'm telling you right now, we need to win in the midterm. We need to stop him from cheating, from lying, and from stealing the election. Yeah, there's a lot of election deniers in the Democrat Party right now. Nancy Pelosi saying similar last week that somehow the 2026 elections are already rigged. And if they're doing something to add to their congressional seats, we need to look at our ways of doing that right now. Like many Democrats, Booker declined to say whether he supports Mamdani. That came up in the interview. New York City, I love you. You're my neighbor. You're about 10 miles from where I live. You guys figure out your elections. I'm going to focus on mine. So we have a couple of these attack lines that the media had on Trump over the weekend. We'll bring that up. Get your comments in. The show's almost done. We got about 15 minutes left, so stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
It's 10 p.m. somewhere. Do you know where your kids are online?
Is this your mom?
Yes.
And that's your dad?
Nope.
I'm the father.
Even if you're the father, you're lying.
My family does not like my boyfriend.
Solid family.
I've had enough of this. I'm not your mommy.
Now you're just talking crazy.
Don't do that. I'm not your auntie, I'm your mother.
Can't cross mama and come in here and get treated nice. Your case is dismissed, and so are you.
You're watching Big Fox, WYDC TV, Elmira Corning.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horsets. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go to viewer comments. Viewer comments brought to you by Steuben Senior Services Fund, empowering seniors to age at home. Mark writes in, Lonnie Anderson from WKRP in Cincinnati has died. Yes, I mentioned that on the very, very beginning of this program. She was just days away from her 80th birthday. She passed away, according to representatives, from a prolonged illness at a Los Angeles hospital, according to her publicist. So Lonnie Anderson, and anybody who's ever worked in radio knows how eerie WKRP in Cincinnati is in its accuracy. But she was great in that. Arguably the star. Of course, she went on to marry and get divorced at the same, later to Burt Reynolds. So thank you, Mark, for bringing that to our attention. I'm glad to bring it up again. Also, comment from a different viewer. Oh, I missed a couple of comments here. We'll get to those as we wrap up today's edition, so get your last-minute comments in. Ken writes in, interesting reading the bills Mamadani got passed in the New York State Assembly. He got 2 New York State Administrative Procedural Acts passed for New York State meetings. Neither bill really amounted to anything. And he got a law passed to allow sale of alcohol at Astoria's Museum of the Moving Image, which violates New York State law because it's closer than 200 feet from an elementary school. He tried to get many more bills through that would have mostly given free stuff to New York City residents paid for by New York State taxpayers. And he tried to pass the following: the Not on Our Dime Act. This act was aimed to prevent funding for illegal Israeli settlements. Thank you, Ken, for bringing that to our attention. A quick breaking story that just was announced moments ago. Representative Nancy Mace has launched a campaign. There was speculation of this last week for South Carolina governor. You may recall I mentioned this earlier in the broadcast week. I can't remember what day. But Nancy Mace is aiming high, officially throwing her hat in the ring for South Carolina's governor for the gubernatorial race to succeed term-limited incumbent Governor Henry McMaster. Mace announced her campaign after weeks of sending strong signals. If you recall, her team kind of erred and made a post that said paid for by Mace for governor or something like that. I'm running to put South Carolina first, she said in a statement to Fox. Mace ripped the state's current weak leadership, arguing that we can continue doing the things we've always done, or we can chart a new course, one filled with common sense and bold policies to hold the line for South Carolina. Her newly launched campaign website quickly blasted out a video featuring news headlines acknowledging how the firebrand representative had drawn ire from members of her own party. Something is broken in South Carolina. They said, stay quiet, I spoke up. They said, play nice, I fought back. They said, sit down, and I stood up. Corruption, chaos, cowardice, I've seen it all. Get ready, South Carolina. This isn't just a campaign, this is a calling. You and me, this is where our mission begins. God's not done with South Carolina, and neither am I. So Nancy Mace announcing just a little while ago that she will run for South Carolina governor. Get your last minute questions, comments in. We're getting ready to wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Listen to these headlines. The Bureau of Labor Denial. It isn't easy being an economic advisor to President Trump. Or Trump's effort to control information echoes an authoritarian playbook, writes Peter Baker. In firing the head of the agency that collects employment statistics, the president underscored his tendency to suppress facts he doesn't like and promote his own version of reality. But firing the messenger, she said, will not make the economy any better. The reality is the economy is worse, and he can't keep saying it's better. Joe Biden learned that. People still experience the experience they have, no matter how much you tell them otherwise. Why didn't they have that conversation back during the election? Because they never brought that up when Biden was claiming the economy was good. Donald Trump and the deconstruction of America, writes David Korn. Now, this, granted, is from Mother Jones, so it's what's to be expected. But every day, Americans are bombarded with the bad news of Trump 2.0. Concentration camps, cruel ICE raids targeting law-abiding residents, health insurance being yanked from millions, elite universities, media companies, and law firms yielding to mob-like extortion, crypto deals, and often brazen grifting tied to a corrupt White House, rampant abuses of governmental power, and threats of sham criminal prosecution against the administration's critics and political foes, drastic cuts in food assistance, assault on women's rights, the withholding of disaster relief, the reckless shutdowns and evisceration of crucial government services and agencies that will result in hardship and in some cases death for Americans and people overseas. CNN's Stephen Collinson saying Trump's rewriting of reality on jobs numbers is chilling, but it could backfire. We got to take a short break. We'll read your comments when we come back. Stay with us. Wrapping up today's edition of Frankly Speaking.
We've had so many wonderful memories as a family. Dropping Shelly off at school. I prayed he wouldn't get stuffed in a gym bag. Missy might have been the one in Little League.
I'm asking the Lord to watch over my little girl.
Well, while you're at it, ask him for a win. I got money on this.
But Georgie is the one who threw us the real curveball.
I got a girl pregnant.
Oh, no. Are you kidding me? We may not be perfect, but to me, we have the perfect family.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
Day one of the National Glider Competition, severe flooding has caused major disruptions in parts of Steuben County.
Throughout the year, prison reform has become a priority around New York State.
Fox 10 p.m. News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the southern tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. news on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Marcus Street in Corning. And let's go to our last minute comments from viewers brought to you by Steuben Senior Services Fund. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I'm so disturbed by the young man at the stadium being ordered to leave or remove his hat. He had if you didn't hear us in the 6 o'clock hour talk about this, he had a MAGA hat. I cannot believe that we are still triggered, and I hate that word, by the way, by a hat. I just wonder if any other president's name or reference to any other president would have had the same results. I don't believe so. Now they fall back on their code of conduct, if you will. But no, if you had a Harris for president shirt on, or if you had a Newsom for president or the current candidate, no, it would not have been treated the same way. We know that. That's why it's newsworthy. Comment from Mark. The Canadian smoke is going to be really bad for a couple days starting today. Everyone stay safe. And Frank, have a great day. You have a great day as well, Mark. And I just saw the maps. Yes, it is going to be bad starting today for the next few days. So be careful out there. Keep that in mind in your travels. Okay. Where do we got to go? Oh, yeah. I said I would mention this. The Liberal Patriots. The Liberal Patriot. This guy is far left. But he said Democrats should give up on the Resistance 2.0. Nothing feels better than unloading with both barrels on Donald Trump, and a few things are less effective or more boring. Is there anyone in this country who doesn't know Democrats disapprove of everything Trump does, believes he's a danger to democracy, and just really, really hate the guy? I don't think so. And yet Democrats keep rending their garments and screaming their hatred to the heavens. The latest example, Cory Booker, in his 25-hour speech on the Senate floor, spoke against the passage of a bipartisan policing bill, including one to reauthorize support for mental health services for law enforcement officers, and another to make recruits eligible for funding for training programs, introduced by one of his fellow Democrats. And as you know, Booker got mad over this. We talked about it last week. How thrilling. He wants to fight. Cue the applause from Democrat activists who can never get enough of the stuff. But to what avail? Famously, it failed to stop Trump from winning the 2024 election. And so far, nonstop Democrat protests in Trump's second term have been notably unsuccessful in anything to resuscitate the Democrat Party's toxic brand. The recent Wall Street Journal poll found Democrat Party favorability 30 points underwater, the worst results in 35 years. Ratings for both Trump and the GOP were much higher. So basically what this all boils down to is the resistance is not working. Now, CNN's data guru, Harry Enton, has dubbed Trump the most influential president this century. Love it, like it, lump it. Trump's remaking the United States of America. I can't think of a more influential president during this century, said Eaton. All right, that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you to everyone who sent in their comments, their waves. I know we had a lot of other things to mention as well, but we are out of time. Join us every weekday morning starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV. Big Fox. Tomorrow we'll hear from the cast of Big Fish. That opens up on August 7th, so don't miss that. And thank you to Tim Colpine for being on the program this morning. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. I look forward to it already.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spot. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Steuben County Office for the Aging will be hosting a public hearing on Thursday, September 18th at First Presbyterian Church in Bath. This hearing is to review the 2026 annual implementation plan for the Older Americans Act and the Steuben County Office for the Aging. This public hearing will take place at 9 a.m. on Thursday, September 18th in the Fellowship Hall of the First Presbyterian Church in Bath. Copies of the plan will be available at the Office for the Aging.